welcome. I'm Gladi Cologne.
And I'm Laura Hartman.
And you're watching Brand New Day on Be Well TV. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can join us here every Thursday in the mornings at 10 a.m. We have a really fun show planned for you today. A special guest joining us all the way from Kentucky, founder of Bluegrass Hospitality, Zac Crump. We are so excited to have him here today.
Very excited. This is our first virtual guest, so he's our inaugural first virtual guest. So very
Welcome,
exciting.
Zac.
Welcome.
Thanks, ladies. I'm glad to be here. And thank you.
Of course. How are you? How are things in Kentucky right now?
Everything's going great. We've launched into spring, so now we have nice warm weather and hopefully get the ball rolling on some new projects.
Nice, nice. Well, we're here to talk about some of those projects you have going on. Zac is a veteran in the hospitality industry. He has spent years working for Hilton Worldwide doing various project and management projects for Hilton. So we're here to talk to him about the things he's been up to in his past, what he has been doing after furlough, and talk a little bit about his company.
Absolutely. So Zac, we actually all worked for the same company for many, many years, but we never met you. And primarily, of course, that's because you were on the corporate side of the company, where we were in the property level, operations side, and also because you've been traveling the entire globe for a gazillion years, it seems like. Just when we first met you, we were both so engaged, and we kept saying, and even texting each other after, oh my gosh, we could just pick his brain for days on end about
that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah, the
we're
locations he's been to and just your overall experience. So
why don't we dive right in, Zac, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your work experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again for having me. And I could pick your all's brain for several days as well. So thank you. Spent 13 years with Hilton. I did start out on the property level, of course. Was there for around 8 to 9 years between 3 different countries in operational roles. And then I was able to move into the corporate role and continue with openings, transitions, and had a great time with that for about 4 years before furlough started.
So is it safe to say that you've seen it all, Zac, in the hospitality world?
Yeah, I feel like that. We wear many hats in the hospitality world. So I would say, yeah, I've seen pretty much anything. Nothing really shocks me or surprises me anymore.
That we do, yes. So how many years were you working in hospitality before you got furloughed? And then we're going to jump to your furlough story.
So I started out in hospitality in high school, actually. And I had a love and passion for it just from traveling with my family. And I went down that career path. I went down and also through education, through my undergrad and my master's degree. Never changed my mind. And I started there probably back in 2000 as a server, and then was able to go into Hilton when I was at the university level in 2007 and kept going until COVID hit.
Wow.
So tell us a little bit more about, and then we'll get into your furlough story, but tell us a little bit more about what your most recent role, what was that job description? What were you doing? Because I think it's really interesting, and I think a lot of people would not understand that there are teams like yours and people like your role that do this.
I guess the easy way, let's go with the official title. I was a senior in global deployment and change management for Hilton. And I guess the easiest way to say it is I was an on-site project manager. I would go in the beginning, and be there to help open the hotel, transition the hotel. It could be from, a brand to brand change. It could be from Mandarin Oriental to Waldorf Astoria. And so we would work with the owners, with the hotel executive leadership, the team members, and then the third-party vendors to make sure that hotel would open. And then we would stay on site after that, and we would work our way through all the various operational departments and making sure that everything was running smoothly and making sure that everybody was trained correctly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, how busy were you before COVID happened, and 10 being extremely busy, I'm done, I want to walk away. Like, how busy were you?
I want to say that I was probably only home for about 65 to 70 days a year.
Wow.
So that's
I love traveling.
I'd say that's
almost,
probably like a 9 or so.
Is there like
yeah, I
an
mean,
internal
there were,
diamond member program?
yeah,
Does that
there
make you a Hilton
were,
Diamond member or?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there were certain times that I would fly in at 11 o'clock at night from China and could get back on the airplane and go to India the next day.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I'd say he hit diamond status for sure with all those travels.
What's your favorite country that you spent time in?
Um, let's go with continent. I would say Africa. I had a great experience going in and opening the first Hilton property as a Hilton Garden Inn in Swaziland, and that was just an experience that it was amazing. It was a once in a lifetime.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's rewind then. Last year, beginning of summer, March 2020, I'm guessing that's around the time where you got some news that you were going to take a little bit of a break from your world traveling job. Tell us about that. Tell us about your furlough.
So, I mean, it wasn't anything that was surprising. But this had all been in the works beforehand to start off onto my own and go into these uncharted waters, I guess you could say, because I'd always been in the corporate world. And so when the furlough started, the wheels really started turning and everything kind of progressed extremely quickly, like most everyone's story, and trying to not reinvent yourself, but try to figure out where your strengths are and what you can do. So I looked at it and said, I can take on a consulting company of my own and do what I was practically doing with Hilton, because when I was with Hilton, I always noticed that these hotels needed support and resources after we left. And at no fault to Hilton, there was not the manpower to do that or to offer that for them. So that's where this whole thing kind of evolved for me, to go out on my own and start my own consulting firm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how, obviously you are becoming one of our innovators, and we are excited to be publishing your story. So that's coming soon for our audience, and we'll be able to get more into the details of that when the article is published. But isn't it just so interesting how your life just transitions right into the next thing, and it's kind of very meant to be. And you're such a great example of somebody who's been able to just fluidly move on and redefine, our favorite word, and look at it with the glass half full and kind of dig deep into. I think I remember you telling us that you had a lot of friends that were kind of already nudging you into the direction of starting your own consulting business.
Yeah, and I think there's, I'm sure you know of her, Dr. Rack, that owns Rack Enterprises and she's been around in the hospitality world for decades. I think she said it best when I can't go back to yesterday because I was a different person then. And it's like, we have to keep moving forward. We have to keep pushing forward. And so that quote really resonates every day with me, to just keep forging forward, keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's
really
great.
like that.
You're taking the skill set you already have, and like Laura said, all you're doing is redefining what you're doing with that skill set. And that's another reason why we wanted to have you on the show, because Zac, we feel like you can inspire other people to dig deep and figure out what are those skill sets I already have that I can just apply towards doing something different if my job isn't readily available for me yet. So that's definitely an inspiration to us. So
yes.
You went ahead and you opened Bluegrass Hospitality. Tell us a little bit about what your clients can expect from working with you.
So basically, I'd say it's like a mixed bag of whatever the client needs or whatever the hotel needs. Let's look at it right now. Everyone's trying to gear back up. Vaccines are out. We know that with cuts, there was people cuts, and that affected learning and development, I'd think, quite heavily. that affected manpower. So all of these people need to get either trained or revamp back up to getting guests back in the hotels. And so that takes a lot of resources, and hotels and ownerships are not going to have those resources. And that's where I come into play. I can do anything from the training side, the learning and development, into helping hotels open, helping hotels reopen, reimagine what is this life after COVID and how do they move forward. And then also anything from, short-term task force, to helping with brand standards, understanding the new brand standards that have come out. We know that all of the different hotel brands have put out a lot of different new materials. So just anything related to hotels operation. I also have a love for the project management side. So all of those projects that might have been put on hold of hotels opening. I also love that part, and can take on roles with helping be an on-site project manager for that as well.
Nice.
That's great, and so needed right now. And I was reading an article a couple months ago that inspired me to then write our own article about the future of freelancers and consultants. And it's interesting because when last year, this time last year, all the furloughs started, the layoffs happened, contract workers, the consultants, those freelancers were the first to go because, rightfully so,
Absolutely.
a big hotel company like a Hilton or a Marriott wanted to ensure that the last people they had to cut were, of course, their own. But now it's flipped, where they are struggling still with those skeleton staffing levels and not being able to necessarily recall or beef up their teams for salaries that are even on a part-time basis, even on an on-call basis sometimes, because there's an expectation, a commitment there to that employee. So the rise of freelancers and consultants like yourself is really starting to ramp up. And it's cool because now you have individuals that are starting consulting businesses that have a specific niche to help a specific project or problem or scenario. And we've seen so many people, Jennifer Dowdy, who I know, Zac, we got you connected with Jennifer. She's doing similar, but for sales and marketing. And we know somebody who's doing it in the banquet capacity. So it's these seasoned professionals and experts that are now at the fingertips of big hotel companies to utilize, and they should be utilizing them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely, because with those cuts, I mean, people had to move on, and some of them did not stay in the industry, which I feel like that we will get some of those people back. But some of us, as you said, I mean, we redefined ourselves and still stayed in the industry, and those resources are going to be needed as these hotels come back online.
right.
So are you offering your services outside of Kentucky, across the nation, around the world?
I will go wherever the work leads me. I mean, I still have the travel bug. I still have the travel itch. I traveled during the pandemic, learned a lot, saw a lot. So that doesn't scare me. And I think that, with the vaccines back in, with all of the different new protocols that are kind of, easy to maneuver around, we need to get people back out, heads in beds, and travel safely. And it can be done, and it needs to be done to save the industry and, kind of bring it back up from the ashes.
Sure, yeah. I mean, all of our jobs, our careers depend on hospitality, travel, and tourism. So we're big advocates of, we're eating out for dinners and just making sure people know that it's safe to go out and do those things again. Zac, have you been anywhere recently? Have you had any recent hotel stays? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I've had several in different areas of the U.S. I haven't gone, of course, overseas because that's just kind of not in the realm of things right now. But I've stayed quite a bit, and I've seen a lot of good things, and I've seen a lot of not so great things. And I think that moving forward, cleanliness is at the forefront of everyone's mind, and things that used to fly or that we'd let slide will not be the case anymore.
Right. And that's actually, Zac, a really good transition for us, because we're gonna put you on the spot a little bit, but Laura and I thought we would play a little game, because what's happening
Absolutely.
what's happening in hotels right now is, we want to try to encourage our associates, our team members, not to use COVID as an excuse anymore. Stop using COVID as an excuse and get back to the way things were, and that means a high level of service, caring about the small things, and so the game is called Stop Blaming COVID and Bring Back These Service Standards.
She loves her games.
I
She's
know.
all about the games.
I love the games. The games are fun. So what we're going to do is Laura and I are going to take turns.
Yeah.
We're going to take turns naming areas or departments in the hotel, and we are going to take turns guessing what we think should be the things that are brought back or amped up as far as the service level goes. And then Zac, we're going to turn to you for your expertise. Does that sound like a plan?
That sounds great. Let's go. This sounds
okay,
like fun.
good. All right. So the first category the first department I'm going to pick is pools and recreation. So I'm going to turn it to you, Laura, and you're going to tell our audience what you think they should bring back.
Okay, so pools and recreation. I immediately think about kids, and that's usually a huge deciding factor of why the hotels that have those big, beautiful pools are selected, because the parents saw it and was like, my little Jimmy's going to love it.
Do you have a Jimmy?
I do not have a Jimmy. I don't have a Jimmy. But I would say if it's a lazy river, it's the tube,
Yes.
because those can still be sanitized in between. I feel like there's still an opportunity to distribute those in a safe way.
I would agree. I agree.
And
keep the inner tubes.
Yeah, and the on-site pool deck games and the music and all of that part of that.
So the whole thing.
The Needle Deck experience.
Just bring back the whole thing. Okay. All right, Zac, what you got for us?
I kind of am on the same lines, like bring it back and even if you're at, let's go, like you're going big, like even if we're at smaller properties, like if you need to put a reservation system in place to go to the fitness center or the pool, then do that, whatever it is to make people feel safe. But yeah, bring stuff back that can be sanitized and that can be, kept clean. And I also think that this is a time to make sure, especially in Florida or any other warm areas, and now we're all getting in this warm area because of spring going forward, is making sure that your outdoor facilities are top notch and ready to be used and open and used safely. And if you don't have nice outdoor areas, then maybe you need to look at adding those. We see that a lot of the focus service and extended stay hotels have outdoor grilling areas and barbecue areas, and that is something that makes families feel safe because they know that they can do that in a safe way outside. So make sure those areas are top notch, ready to go. And if you don't have something like that, then maybe you should incorporate something into that right now and spend money on that to have those facilities ready and open for your guests.
That's a great point. Yep. Awesome.
And
okay.
I think also, sorry, and this is like another one, like get your restaurant involved with like little, take out little smoothies or take out little tidbits and do it safely to kind of promote your restaurant on site as well in the pool and outside facilities.
That's a great idea.
Little delighters. Yeah.
Surprise and
Poolside.
delight.
Little
Yes.
delight.
Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
I haven't said that
Yeah.
word in a year.
I'll take a little like
Yes.
margarita shooter.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Two. Okay, category number 2. I feel like we need like a little drum roll.
I know.
Category number
Okay,
2.
next time.
I'm going with guest rooms.
Guest rooms. Okay. All right. So this is a hot topic. Obviously, our guest rooms are being thoroughly sanitized, thoroughly cleaned. We're wrapping our remote controllers, letting the guests know that was cleaned. There's been some discussions about whether or not hotels should bring back housekeeping or leave it up to the guest, if they should do the daily turn down. But I'm going to stop and just say, bring back the coffee pots. People pay good money to have the coffee pots in the room, or now a lot of hotels are doing the Keurig with the K-cups. Yeah. People got to have their complimentary coffee. That's what I'm going with.
I agree.
And what goes with coffee? A bathrobe.
Oh.
Bring bathrobes back.
Okay.
Have like, it's like a little comfort of home. You get your bathrobe, you get your tea or your coffee, and bathrobes are cleaned and sanitized exactly how the linen is in the room. So there's no reason that those should not be brought back or that they're not back in the rooms. Also, I would say just basic stationery, just little notepads and a one-shot pen, because everybody knows when you're in a hotel room, you need to jot something down, and you run around and look around during COVID, and there's nothing to write a note down on.
That's a great point.
That's a great point. Like, why are we taking the pens out? If we can clean the remote controller, can't we just clean the pen too?
That's a great point.
And a lot of hotels are just doing the one shot wrapped in plastic and sitting there with a little piece of notepad. It doesn't have to be a big stack of sticky notes or expensive collateral that has logos on it, but just notepads that if you need to jot something down quickly.
So, Zac, I got to go back to the bathrobes. Were you at a hotel where you weren't offered one, and what did you do?
We want to know.
Yeah, I've been in that situation. And I think that's more for, let's go ahead and say it's more for our full service and luxury properties. You're still charging that premium rate. It wasn't like most places dropped drastically. And so with that comes an expectation. And bathrobes are right up there along with the Keurig or the Nespresso machine. These are all things that can be cleaned properly and should have already been being cleaned properly and remain in the guest room. And if they're not there at the moment, they need to be brought back because your guests are paying a price and they have expectations when they come to your property.
Exactly. Let's not forget about why people travel. It's for those extra little niceties that they don't necessarily get at home, and there's a certain expectation our travelers do have. So, great point. Okay,
Absolutely.
Whose turn is it?
Next category.
Is it my turn?
You're picking the category.
Okay. Next category. So I'm going to go ahead and say restaurants.
Ooh, I like this one. Wow. I could go on for days with this one, but it's the people. It's the people for me. I know that it's hard to bring the people back, but one of them, obviously people always remember the food. That's kind of like, banquet, catering, restaurant, people always remember the food. But there is that cliche, they'll also always remember how you made them feel. And to me, in a restaurant experience, that server, that busser, that hostess, that provides that experience. And I think that it's an area that you need to have more staffing. People want to sit down, they want to have a dining experience. If they're choosing to not go to the market, the grab and go, if they're choosing to not stay in their room and they're choosing to come out, be exposed, obviously in a safe way, and sit down, they should have the lovely customer service that goes with it and not feel uncomfortable that they're putting somebody out.
Right.
Or to have to watch people rushing around and bussing tables. And my mom was just telling me, my mom just landed here from out of town and had a terrible experience just last night because the two staff in the entire restaurant were too focused on bussing the tables that nobody gave them any attention. And you can still get the point across, the perception of we're cleaning, but you can seat your guests first and then continue to clean.
Right.
So it sounds like that's mine.
No, I think it's a great point. Zac, what do you got?
This is a loaded question, but yeah, absolutely. If the restaurants aren't open, they need to be open. You need people. That's people make everything. After that, I would say bring the salt and pepper shakers, the real cutlery back. Those are another two things that people need and easy to clean and sanitize. And you can bring them if you want to show that they're cleaned and sanitized. Bring them out as the people or guests sat down. And then also I would say is on the flip side is to keep your takeout offerings and your take to home and cook offerings, because that has been a huge business for the restaurants that have redefined themselves when people could not sit down and eat. And so I think that you should keep those options there, because that's another big thing that people have enjoyed having. I've enjoyed having that. I've enjoyed having, some of our nicer restaurants in the area that do take home kits. They've been phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, and then our Chef Philip Thompson article that we just published recently gives such 7 great pieces of insight of various aspects of him kind of re-entering back in the kitchen, motivating teams, but also what that guest experience should look like. And one of my favorite pieces of advice from him as an executive chef is to reimagine that grab and go, come up with ways that it's not just here's your coffee and here's your bagel in a little bag. How can you package
Absolutely.
it to feel more special, to be an experience? And he's the first person I've heard say this, I love that he is trying to bring back the in-room dining, where we were trending to get rid of in-room dining, or on the 24-hour basis, but now you have the perfect circumstances for your guests to be isolated, alone, and now he's looking at how do I deliver them a better, more well-rounded menu and a beautiful presentation so they feel like they're having this, special dining experience. So I love that idea.
Absolutely. You just stole one of my answers, but that's okay. We'll work with it. No,
At least we know we're on the same page as the expert.
Yeah, we are on the same page. I'm happy to know Chef Philip personally, and he had that article and those insights were amazing. He is full of talent.
Yes.
Awesome. All right.
Okay, I think it's my turn.
Yep, next category. What you got?
All right. Meetings and events.
Oh, my favorite category. Okay. Meetings and events. So here's the thing. In meetings and events world, we should have always been sanitizing our areas and keeping up with the cleanliness of our areas between meetings, between sessions. So I'm going to say one of the things that we keep is offering hand sanitizer in meal rooms, right? Like, why weren't we doing that before?
Right.
You certainly have to wash your hands and sanitize on cruise ships before you go through the buffet.
Right.
Why weren't we doing that in meetings before? So I think that's a COVID best practice that we can continue doing into the future. I agree with that.
Yeah, versus it being hit or miss. For some groups wanted to do it, or it was important to the culture of a particular client or group, and they would bring them in and have them branded, but having it on the property level as your property standard, as part of a banquet standard.
Right.
You can easily plop one of those at the beginning of each buffet, and you just sanitize and go.
Yep. The other thing too, Zac, right before I go to you, and it's going to piggyback off of what you said for restaurants, but I think it's so important right now to bring back your event managers, your convention services managers, because our meeting planners are ready to plan.
Yes.
And the number one complaint that we hear of from our meeting planner friends is no one's at the hotel, nobody can take my call, nobody can help me with a diagram. I mean, they're not having that problem at my hotel, but we're ready to go. But I feel for them because we need to get back to meetings, and the only way to do that is to plan them, and you have to have your crew in place to do so.
And I think a key point about that role in particular is that part of their job is upselling and driving revenue for food and beverage. And so without those players in place and back to work, you don't have anybody driving revenue and upselling and trying to push and stretch past those minimums. And it might take a while, but that's part of their job.
Yeah.
So.
All right,
okay,
Zac.
your turn. we keep taking over the answers.
No. I see a common theme. Have people. And then secondly, for meeting and events, bring them back, offer them. And then I think the main thing, I'm going to piggyback off of what you all said. I'm going to go one step further. Put in actual hand wash stations in your meeting and events, especially when you have larger groups. They have them out there. They've been out there before. They can fit in with the decor. They're not just these, rolling in a sink and plopping it down. They actually have really nice hand washing stations to where you can actually physically sit there and wash your hands without having to run out to the restroom, but have those stations in the meeting and events. And I think that would just make people feel much safer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Sounds like we're on the right track.
Yeah.
All right, I have one more, last one. This is kind of generic, but take it as you want. The area is hotel amenities. Hotel amenities.
Okay, I'm going to say spa.
Oh,
I'm going to say spa.
bring back the spa.
Bring back the spa, and maybe do something. If you can't offer every part of the spa, like maybe not the steam room or the jacuzzi or whatever
Sauna.
it is, then I know we hate the term COVID pricing, but I do think that there are certain areas where you can provide a temporary COVID pricing with obviously a cuter name. But if you have to give limited services, the guest is going to be okay with that if they're not still paying for the premium price, but still give them options to come in, be pampered, and feel special.
Right. We're not afraid to go to the spas anymore.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
We're ready.
I'm going to get that first paycheck, and it's happening, okay?
All right, Zac.
So room service is not dead. Hotels were trying to quickly get it out the door pre-COVID, and look at it, it's coming right back. It's kind of like the Schwann's man delivering food to your house. We need room service, and we saw that so many hotels were either taking room service out, or they were offering such a limited menu that people did not even want to order anything. And like we just talked about, you can be so creative in the room service area and the department, and solo guests want it, families want it, couples want it, whoever, and just make it creative and evolve. It doesn't have to be a white tablecloth rolled through the hallway to have room service and to offer that, but you need to have offerings. And also for your loyal guests in the room service, offer them to have their breakfast sent through room service. I've been to several hotels that have done that, and it was absolutely amazing that as their benefit, they were able to get their breakfast, and it was through the room service department. So room service isn't dead. I think that we'll see that now start reversing. And there's a lot of different creative ways that hotels can think outside of the box to do that. And it's like anything else. Hotels have to think outside of the box and evolve on their offerings and see where they can go and from here.
Couldn't agree with you more.
That's going to be an exciting trend to follow, I think. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Zac. Well, thank you so much for participating in our game. We really appreciate you, and we certainly appreciate you coming on our show, helping us bring back hotel life and talking a little bit about that subject.
Next time we need sound effects like ding, 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 or I don't know.
Drum roll, I don't know, something. But Zac, we wish you the best of luck. We know our paths will cross again. Good luck to you at Bluegrass Hospitality Consulting. And until next time.
And for our audience, stay tuned for Zac's official Lightbulb Moment story. And we hope that you subscribe if you like the content that we've had thus far. We'll have more guests just like Zac, either in our studio or virtually. Sometimes it's just Gladi and me. But we hope that you subscribe to our blog, to Be Well TV online, and we hope you stay well and everybody is embarking on a brand new day.
Thank you.
We're clear, and